Hi there, beautiful people. Welcome back to Stories Down Under. My name is Stella, and my lovely friend here is Fran. We are so excited to come back because our content is all about making financial information accessible to everybody. We both work in finance, and our channel is all about educating and sharing things to do with career, finances, lifestyle, just two ladies trying to live their best life in a foreign country, which is Australia.
Yeah,
So today we're going to be talking to people who want to buy a home in Australia. I can say when I took this journey, I didn't know where to start from, and that's why we decided to do this topic to make this information accessible, especially to migrants, because it's different in every country. And with that said, Fran will start us on our first point.
Thanks, Stella. That was really exciting the way you've brought in the introduction and, exciting. Yes, we're trying to live our best lives here. And the first starting point for when you're buying a house is to save for the deposit. And how do you do this? Normally, buying a house is such an emotional choice for most people. You're thinking, oh, yes, I need to buy a house. But then the reality is you need to start saving and start saving as soon as you make the decision to buy a house. And why 20%? You need to have a 20% deposit to be able to escape the lender's mortgage insurance, which is quite expensive, going into tens of thousands depending on the amount of mortgage that you have. So if you have the 20% deposit, it will be easy for you to get the pre-approval and eventually to get the loan without having to pay lender's mortgage insurance. And how do you save? You can watch one of our videos that we talked about saving tips on saving. We've really given details on how we've managed to save. That is how myself and Stella both managed to save to buy our first house. And yes, buying your first house is the proudest moment that you'll ever have, and you'll feel the same way that we feel when you accomplish that.
Absolutely. Very well said, Fran. But just to give you a bit context, when I decided to save for my house, I worked out the numbers. I'll save roughly, I had to save about 100,000. And with 100,000, I decided, well, I was able to to put aside about 5,000 every single month. So I put a little calendar on my fridge and I had a countdown. For every month that I saved the 5K, I would say, well, this is my first 5K towards my house. That is 5,000 into my account, so 19 more months to go. The following month, I'll flip the counter to 18, and until I saw that number go down to 0. And I said it's the proudest moment ever.
Wow, you made it really interesting, Stella. I should have done that.
The other way, because you have to stay on track. It's very easy to get carried away because it's
course.
a big amount.
Yeah, it's huge.
And seeing that little progress is all the motivation that you need. The other thing, of course, is to work out how much you can borrow. So basically, sometimes you go to the banks or the different financial brokers and the finance brokers, and they tell you, well, you can borrow up to 1 million. It doesn't mean run and start to borrow that 1 million. Try to borrow a bit less than what you can afford, because if you maximize your borrowing capacity and then life happens, and you're faced with hardships or any other challenges, you're not able to keep up with your repayments and you could easily lose your house. So we recommend that at least your mortgage repayments should not be more than 30% of your take-home pay. So remember, especially for me as a person without children, I had to think about, in future, I want to have children, so my expenses are going to increase, paying for their education and all that. So I had to, even if that was not the situation at the time, I knew that would come in. So I didn't want to maximize everything that I could borrow, as well as also being able to, pay more repayments, so that when you have hardships, you can be able to take a holiday from the payment and still be able to maintain your house, being able to have that house still belong to you, because, after working that hard to have to lose your house because you can't meet the repayments, that's nothing we wish on our worst enemy. So yeah.
Good one, Stella. And when we talk about budgeting, think of a mortgage as a lifetime of expenditure. It's a massive investment. And when budgeting, think of additional expenses like repairs and maintenance, rates and taxes, additional utilities, and include that all in your budget. And that's the more reason they say to take up a mortgage that is less than 30% of your takeaway pay.
Absolutely.
All right. The next one is identify the location. Normally, most people tend to just think of, as we previously mentioned, it is an emotional decision. People get carried away by the fact that, yes, I need to buy a house. But do you ever sit down and think of where exactly you want to buy this house and what factors you need to consider when choosing a location? In my case, because I have a little child, I had to look at factors like school. What is the proximity to school? What is the proximity to public transport, because I commute daily to the city center, and a playground, things like amenities like hospitals, shopping center. So look at those areas. Some people prefer to go close to the city or live close to the beach, but just bear in mind that in Western Australia, especially in Perth, the house prices will increase depending on how close you are in the city, or you're close to, posh places like the beach. If you want to buy in Peppermint Grove, think about it in terms of affordability. If you cannot afford it, fair enough. But if you want to do it because your peers or your friends are doing it, then you're not in the right path, because this is a long-term investment, and it's going to be very costly in the long run because of inflation.
Absolutely. So with that said, so we've identified the house, we have saved our deposit. The other thing you need to think about is the home loan. So different banks will offer you different interest rates, and it's a lifetime. This here in Australia, the mortgages are about 25 to 30 years. So even a small difference of 0.05 in interest rates will make a huge difference.
Absolutely.
So as you prepare to take a home loan, I'll say there's some of the factors that may influence the interest rate that you get from the banks. Is first your credit score. So make sure you're paying your bills on time. This is not the time to start getting a new car loan if you're going to be approaching the bank, increasing your debt, getting credit cards left, right and center, going for afterpay. Try to avoid all those things that could impact your credit, especially also paying your utility bills on time, having a good saving, having a job and consistent income. All those will help you be able to negotiate a better interest rate. As also, if you have a deposit, as we spoke about, 20% deposit, that will enhance your capability to get your loan. So once you get you actually look at the different banks, don't just go with the first bank that gives you the loan. Try to compare and see what other financial institutions. And talking about banks, sometimes you'll find the very small banks will give you better interest rates, especially when you have a decent deposit, because their risk appetite is lower. So if you have a decent deposit, there are small banks that are not known like the big banks in Australia, and sometimes you're able to secure a really good interest rate with them. The other thing also, there's the aspect of, do I get it a fixed loan or a variable loan? Honestly, it's really up to you. It's based on your life needs and your income, whether you're able to keep up with the variations if you go with a variable. But an interesting thing that a lot of people I now know are doing it is that they're opting to do maybe to get the land package on fixed and the variable for the build. So what happens is that you're able to take advantage of both areas, but I will say please converse with your financial broker, your financial advisors, and see what is the best option based on your individual needs.
Oh, the good one, Stella. I wish I knew that combination, that combo of fixed and variable, that would have worked really well for me. Do you think it's too late for me to go back to the bank and tell them,
absolutely,
do something, guys?
I think it is a good time to do that, especially once you've made decent repayments. I think it is definitely still doable at a later stage.
Thanks, Stella. That's really good. The next one, when you're buying a house, is to avoid comparing yourself to other people. I know that it's human nature to want to be at the same level with your peers, your relatives, your colleagues, because people normally just want to talk about the positives to other people, but you don't really know what they're going through behind closed doors, how they're struggling. People want to just give the best news out there of how they live well, they live comfortable. So before you start comparing yourself to others, think of your own situation financially. If you, for example, if your friends live in Subiaco, think of how much they're paying in Subiaco and think of your income, whether it's as a single income or combined. Avoid that emotional comparison where you don't look at what you're capable of, because a mortgage, as we previously mentioned, it's a long-term commitment and a lot of factors comes into play. So you don't want to just follow other people blindly. Then 5 years down the line, you're not capable of keeping up with the repayment. That term Stella calls it keeping up with the Joneses. A lot of people do that, but avoid doing that when you're buying your first home. Ultimately, we know that your situation might change, but when you're buying your first home, do a lot of research, look at the reality of your situation, and just do what you're comfortable with, what is affordable on your side. And in saying that, I'm not sure, Stella, if you have anything else to add onto this long list.
I think you've really nailed that one. So yeah, that's my favorite. Just live within your means. Always remember, whatever people show you is not really what is there. You never get to know people. Even your siblings, even your loved ones, your friends. Nobody really gives you the full picture. So with those points, I hope you have learned something. We wish you all the best on your journey. If you're new, if you're a first home owner, or if you're looking for an investment property. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to leave them in the comments. We see you, all of you who support us, who constantly come back and give us all the positive feedback. We thank you, and we ask you to continue to like, to share, to subscribe, and to be with us in this journey as we endeavor to do better. Thank you so much, and see you on the next one. Bye.